Yeah, it's a koi. Koi or carp are just really resistant to any kind of pollution. They're some of the only fish that are left in China's rivers. That's why koi ponds are a thing, because they can just withstand anything, like duck shit, pesticide. Like, it's a good thing because the roots are the only thing keeping this bank from completely caving in. That's actually a really good shot right here, Richard. And so that's all honeysuckle, but this is a wildflower that just grew up, and these aster flowers are the last flower that a pollinator like a bee is going to have before winter sets in. So it's really important that these are here for the bees. Another big plant that gets a lot of flack is this goldenrod. And the goldenrod, yes, the pollen does create some allergies, but it's also an incredible source of nectar and pollen for some of these pollinators and birds. Because without insects coming, then the birds have nothing to eat. Another gorgeous shot. And you can see all these flowers that are about to come out. This is a black locust tree. Yeah, so this is a black locust tree, and the reason I know it's a locust is because of these leaves. And so this is a compound leaf. You can see these tiny leaflets that are opposite branching. And this tree actually grows really fast. And so has some really great flowers in the spring, look kind of like pea pods. And it's one of the first sites to actively colonize a space once it's been disturbed. So like for development, or if you're trying to convert a lawn into a more forested type setting, black locust trees are a great plant to have. Some more pokeberry. This is a catalpa tree, and look at how big these leaves are. Like, really, that's bigger than my hand. If you're looking for a nice shade tree that you're trying to have in your yard, or if you're trying to decrease the temperature of your neighborhood, I really recommend these trees. So one thing that's really interesting about this mulberry tree right here is that because of how the tree grows, you can see that it projects its branches really far in a really wide spreading way. And underneath this shade caused by this mulberry tree, it's actually gotten cool enough that you have other trees that are sprouting and other plants that are sprouting underneath the tree. And without this tree being here, it would actually be too hot to actually be able to grow anything. It would just be bare soil. So it's amazing how one plant in an ecosystem can actually have a ripple effect across the entire food network. Look, it's almost stopped blowing. Raccoon. It's one of the only animals to have a thumb, so it's pretty distinctive, almost like Mickey Mouse gloves. There's a deer, and or no, that's a shoe print. Never mind. Another raccoon. One thing that's really distinctive is you can see how much plastic waste is just everywhere, coating the trees. It's creating, this weird type of soil structure. clogging up a lot of the branches. And one thing that could really easily solve this is if we limited the amount of plastic that we just freely give away. Like, we expect stores to hand out free plastic bags, and most of them are just one-time uses that end up around some animal's neck. And someone has to pick all this up, and it's more than likely just going to be 2 random people.
Porcelainberry.
Yeah, this is one of the most invasive, terrible plants that we can have, and it's in everybody's backyard now thanks to how beautiful and delicious these berries look to birds. See, we don't actually have a lot of other things that can produce this amount of fruit and flowers. So for pollinators and for birds, you know, they spread it like wildfire. So these catalpa trees, they have these big long seed pods, almost like a giant bean. And inside these pods are the seeds. And the seeds are just tiny little things that once they come in direct contact with some water, they grow really fast. So this is another one of my favorites. This is a black walnut. And I know it's a black walnut because you can see how dark the wood is. This leaf is very distinctive. This is a compound leaf. And you can see that this leaf is just like the black locust we saw earlier. It's 2 tiny leaflets, opposite branching, going 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, almost 20 leaves. And these grow really tall, and they actually have a compound in their seeds that make it very difficult for non-native plants to grow underneath them. So whenever you see a black walnut, those seeds feed a lot of wildlife, but they also have a really nice impact on preventing invasives in that area. So with fall approaching, a lot of questions are asked about why leaves change color. And the reason is that once a tree in this area of the world that's deciduous decides to go dormant, it's not going to start doing photosynthesis anymore, because that expends a lot of energy, and if it's too cold, these leaves are just going to freeze and die anyway. So what does it do? Well, by shutting off chlorophyll production, that actually stops the leaf from having this green color. So this is actually the natural color of the leaf without the chlorophyll masking it. And so with different trees, you actually have different colors of leaves. So mulberries and black walnuts, they're bright yellow. You got maples, red maple, of course, which is bright red. And together, all of these different species of trees create a almost patchwork quilt across a forest. That's a honey locust right here. You can see the seed pods hanging down almost like beans, and honey locust is in the bean family. One thing that makes honey locust unique here, this sheer size of the bean pods. And some people speculate that that's actually a way to attract now extinct animals like giant ground sloths. The seed pod is actually sweet. You can actually boil it to make some kind of sugar substitute, but I wouldn't recommend it.